The Nintendo Gamecube is one of my favorite consoles. It has a neat little form factor with the handle, the controller feels really comfortable, and they have these little mini DVDs, and also it's home to some of the best Nintendo games. But in recent years, the value of these Gamecube games have skyrocketed, and there's been reports that these discs degrade more than the larger counterparts like PlayStation 2 and Xbox. With that ever-looming threat of destruction, how can you preserve your discs but still continue to play them? One of the easiest solutions is to just play on the Dolphin emulator, which does a really good job of upscaling and even offers a variety of different options to play the games. If you have a USB GameCube adapter, you can even use the original GameCube controllers. But what if you're a weirdo like me that likes to play on original hardware? Well, you could soft mod your GameCube to play backup discs, but that method is insanely impractical nowadays and expensive. You need a copy of Phantasy Star Online, a broadband modem, and mini DVDs to run those backup titles. And that method has been around since 2003, but there are significantly better alternatives, specifically the GC Loader. The GC Loader is an optical disc emulator, or ODE for short, and what it does is replaces the disk drive of the GameCube with a circuit board that allows you to boot backups from an SD card. Created by Daniel Crack, the GC Loader is revolutionary in the GameCube backup scene. This is a full replacement for the GameCube's disk drive, and you'll have the exact same experience as you did with original discs. In fact, some of the games might actually load faster compared to the original DVD drive. The first version of the GC Loader required some knowledge of soldering, but the second iteration takes all the guesswork out and reduces the installation time significantly. All you need to do is unscrew the 4 hex screws at the bottom, lift up the lid, then unscrew the optical drive. Once you have all that out of the way, simply use the screws that came with the GC Loader to mount it to the metal plate, seat the GC Loader port to the GameCube port, and then screw everything all back together and you're all set. Well, almost. You do need an SD card that's formatted via FAT32, and you can easily format an SD card up to 32 gigs in FAT32 with Windows, but any larger and you'll need a program that does that. Once the SD card is formatted, you'll need software for the GameCube to recognize. If you try to run the GC Loader with just game ISOs, the GameCube will tell you that there's no disk. Luckily, there is software made specifically for the GameCube, and that's Swiss. All you need to do is download the latest version, go into the ISO folder, pick the region of the GameCube, and then drop that onto the SD card. Once that's on the SD card, you just need to rename the file to boot. Now you're ready to drop any ISO file that you want on your SD card, assuming that you have the space. Currently I'm using a 4GB card and plan on getting a larger one, and I'm fairly certain that you can fit the entire US library on one SD card, which is pretty wild. Once you have the SD card filled with your desired backups, place the SD card in the GC Loader, close the lid, and boot up the system. From here you'll have the Swiss menu that allows you to pick which game you want to play. Swiss also comes with a lot of great options like cheats and forcing the game to play in 480p, which comes in handy if you have an HDMI adapter like I do. After that, all the games play exactly like they do on the disc. If you have a Game Boy player, simply drop the Game Boy interface on your SD card and launch it from the GC Loader. The Game Boy interface is leaps and bounds better than the original Game Boy player software, allowing you to play Game Boy games at a higher resolution and play them full screen. With all the praise that I've given the GC Loader, what are the drawbacks? Well, for starters, the GC Loader doesn't take up a lot of space, so after removing the disk drive, the GC Loader sits really deep in the system. If you have a big enough SD card, you're really not going to be opening the tray too often, and there are 3D printed options that make it look seamless, which is what I'll probably do in the future, but for now it's not really bothersome. But the biggest drawback is that the GC Loader is pretty difficult to come by. With the retail price of $90, these are only made in small batches, and you have to be really on your toes to catch one when they go back in stock. I missed the first batch and was able to catch the second version. I believe it sold out pretty quick, and I'm not sure how long it lasted, but it definitely was gone before the end of the day. And after you do order it, it takes a bit to ship. I ordered mine in February and didn't get it until 4 months later. However, this could be because COVID, so the next batch might ship even sooner. Then you have to compete with resellers, and they know how desirable this is, and right now on eBay they've been selling anywhere between $150 to $500. But there is a planned restock in July, so I suggest hitting notify me and you'll get an update on when to expect the GC loader to go back up for sale. Should you buy a GC loader? Well, if you like the idea of having all of your games on one SD card, then by all means, get a GC loader. It also helps that Swiss is such a power tool for the GameCube, and coupling it with an HDMI adapter, it really gives the GameCube a fresh coat of paint and is probably the best way to play GameCube games on the original hardware. While I prefer physical media, I can appreciate having digital backups of those discs in a convenient space. Also, I can play certain games before I buy them, which is a huge plus. Again, sure, I can play them on a Dolphin emulator or softmod my Wii, but there is something special about firing up my GameCube on my Sony Trinitron and playing them as close to the original version as possible. I think I might seek out a couple more mods for the GameCube, like the native HDMI mod and a region switch. I'll probably also give it a custom paint job, since this dingy GameCube was bought to get the box with the Zelda Collection sticker on it. And that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about GameCube modding? What mod should I put in my GameCube? Let me know in those comments below. If you liked this video, give it a like and share it with those who might find it interesting. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Nicktendo. And if you're new here, I have a video highlighting my handheld mods, and I also have a series called Retronomics, which highlights price trends of video games. So if that's something that you're interested in, consider subscribing for future content. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Super Nicktendo, and I'll see you next time.